Well, it's been an interesting year and an interesting election. And as the title says, President Trump and the new golden era of the USA. Well, it all kind of started off with my countdown, my 50-day countdown to the election. And, again, the elections came and went without too many issues. The interim period from the end of the election to the inauguration, which was last Monday, was kind of strange. A lot of speculation. A lot of people said there would be more assassination attempts. There would be some sort of problems when inauguration day came and legal issues, not so much as people in protest, but litigation or some kind of political maneuvering to block Trump's inauguration, which didn't happen. And of course, Trump was saying, hey, things are going to change. So, all of this come to pass with no real issues, problems, any type of violence. And Monday I sat there, watched the inauguration ceremony, and he did kind of come on strong and say things were going to be done. And supposedly, Monday he signed 20 executive orders. They actually had reporters in the Oval Office while he was signing the things. He was answering questions just offhand, unprepared, which none of these people do things like that. And some of the issues he brought up, which are kind of pressing, declaring a national emergency because of the border, number one, national emergencies for both relieving people in the western part of North Carolina and also the wildfires in California and the hurricane damage what happened after North Carolina was hit. Like a week later, a hurricane came through and damaged parts of Florida and the Gulf Coast area. So those are positive things. And then certain reforms on immigration, which they did interview a law enforcement officer down there in Texas on the border. And he said that some of the things they might seem like minor things, but he goes, what it is it clears the way for us. I guess the way he interpreted it is the biggest problem is like when they said that these individuals were murdered by somebody who was an illegal alien. He says it's not so much hardened criminals or people that we know are murderers. He goes, it's these people that are illegals, come in and commit petty crimes. And he goes, they kind of escalate towards where there's an incident where it could end up with someone being injured or murdered. He said something about they freed it up to where they can sort these people out and detain them and deport them before their criminal career expands out into much more serious crimes. So a lot of this executive orders does have somewhat of a positive effect in a lot of ways on the country immediately. There's several other things he's doing. I guess he relieved the Commandant of the Coast Guard, which they did publish a list of like 10 or 12 reasons why, and of course somebody's got to come back and say it's because she's a woman, blah, 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 blah. But that's something unprecedented that's never happened before, I guess, in the history of the country. And several other things. And one of them is he wants, one big one was the federal government only recognizes male and female. That's it. And none of this multiple choice stuff. I went for a part-time job and had to take a drug test. and they sent me to an urgent care to take a urinalysis test. So I go in there, and of course there's no paperwork. They give you a tablet, so I got to sit there with a tablet, with my hand shaking, try to answer these questions. They ask you, age, all this other stuff, and then, your sex. And no, you don't check as often as possible. You just go down, it's male, female, but there was like 15 choices you could have put, from don't want to answer, refuse to answer, none of your business, my lawyer will contact you, to several other things. It's quite confusing. So that's helpful, someone like me filling out forms. I don't get confused. But, a lot of simple things that sound simple. And forcing and there are some things that are simple. Trying to force federal employees to go back and work 5-day work weeks in an office building. And a lot of people, it's other than working from home, and a lot of people, oh, well, blah, 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 Well, the thing is, they look at it as a labor thing, but it's not. It's the economy. There are rumors that banks will fail within the next 5 to 6 months because there is so much office space really vacant ever since the plague. A lot of companies have people work from home and don't rent office space. When the office space ain't rented, it's not generating an income. And these individuals or corporations that own these buildings are starting to default on their payments, which in turn, if banks are heavily invested in this, could collapse the banks, which several of them kind of happened. So in a way, something like that, I believe, is more to save the economy. It's these weird little things he's correcting to correct the economy and get money flowing back to where we're not going to have bank failures. Okay, we're not going to have an economic crash. And that's the one thing that I personally have been worried about, that there's going to be some sort of economic disaster. It's been in place. It's not because Trump's going to cause it. It's kind of like when Obama took office and the housing bubble burst. Everybody blamed that guy. It happened like within a week of him getting in office, or a month. There's no way in hell that man could have done anything as the president to either stop it or cause it. Okay, but historically, everyone blamed him for that. That was years in the making, and that was another story I don't wish to talk about. That was set up by people in finance and all those people, bankers and that. That was deliberately done to put a dent in our economy and created a recession, really, which hopefully I won't see that happening now. But a lot of things, ending DIY hires, straightening out the federal government, and doing things to create jobs, okay? And not the jobs where they hire foreigners that can't read and write English, because really, I've been in manufacturing. There's a lot of these jobs that just loading it and that. If you get a robot, okay, whenever one of these companies I worked for failed in that, and the Japanese or some foreigners bought it, there was a job that all you did was put the parts from this giant box, these little parts, these little brass parts, into this thing and do this constantly for 8 hours to make your run of 3,000 parts a shift. Okay, it took no skill. You did have to inspect the part. You had to read a blueprint, go and inspect the part. And it took you so long. Every 30 minutes, you inspected a part. Okay. But, you know, that's about the only skill you kind of needed, is to do the quick inspection. But then again, that inspection took about 15-20 minutes. There was an awful lot of things you had to check off on that list for that one part, because there was like 8 operations on this antique machinery, you know, that's running before they had CNC machines. And when that company was eventually sold, they came in there, looked at that, and they just installed a friggin' robot, and all those jobs were eliminated. Okay, so the days of you not having to have a skill to be in a factory are kind of coming to an end. They either replace you with an automated robot or something. So, but that's another thing. So hopefully they will create, you know, some jobs. It's basically like we have a battery plant here, which I don't know how well that's gonna friggin' go, because it looks like electric cars and stuff are on their way out. That's another major thing. I think that's not gonna end well here, because I don't see it happening in the future. But then again, who knows? So it's been an interesting thing. The past few days have been very interesting. I think it's all for the better. A lot of positive things. Things are moving. I believe in a more positive for the people. Not for people who are living off the system and the government, you know, and these jobs that are all kind of created by big government. It's not going to be good for them. Basically for the deplorables, or however they talk about people like me, hopefully things will get straightened out where the work environment will be better. Social Security may see some reforms and things will be a little bit better than they are. And a lot of government waste, or where this money's going, has to be accounted for and or changed or stopped, which I believe he may be able to do it. So that's my thoughts on it. I thought I'd get it out. It's been interesting, and if you watch the news, every day is something new. Every day is he's doing so much. It's just like a never-ending, hour by hour, a new topic, a new thing, a new mandate or something. It's going to be a thrill-ful ride. But personally, I do feel relieved. I do feel better. Whether all of this works out or not, at least somebody, or the current president, is trying to do something, and he's putting it out there, making it transparent, and he is speaking to the press and answering a lot of questions, which is something that we have not seen. Okay, so that's my thoughts on it, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned.